What is going on YouTube? Aaron back with a new video series entitled What I Collect, where I'm going to show you guys my shelves and pull out the things that you guys want to see. In this first video, it's 90s and early 2000s rock. The stuff that we all look for and seek after all over the world to find those elusive pieces that are just so very hard to find. And it's definitely the genre where I've dropped the most money. So let's head on over to the shelves. You guys sit back and relax, and I'll show you guys what I collect. Alright guys, we're over here at the collection here, my 90s and 2000s rock collection. We're just going to dive right in. They're not in any real particular order, and I'm just going to kind of fly through these, and if you want to leave comments below of anything that you want to talk about more, feel free, and we will. So first up in the bin is the recent reissue of 16 Stone by Bush on 180 gram clear vinyl. It's 2 LP. Pinnacle 90s alt-rock album right there. Incubus's Morning View features a song Nice to Know You and Wish You Were Here. Again on 180 gram 2 LP. Here's one of my favorite pieces in my collection. The Pink Pop edition of Lives Throwing Copper. The only way to get a copy of this is to shop locally during the Pink Pop Festival in the Netherlands. I believe it's limited of 300 or 400 copies. And a buddy on Facebook actually snagged this and sold it to me for as much as I paid for the black copy. So I sold off my black copy and got this one for basically no more than what I paid for the black copy. So I got a really good deal on that. Alright guys, the next album that I want to show you is Mad Season. This is done on high quality 180 gram vinyl by RTI, one of my favorite pressing plants in the United States. Favorite song on this one is definitely Rivers of Deceit. It's a classic 90s rock anthem. Alright, up next is something I just picked up the other day. This is an original pressing of Marilyn Manson's Mechanical Animal. It's on blue and white vinyl. It's probably my favorite Marilyn Manson record, with the new one closely following it. But I've been looking for a copy of this pretty much since I started collecting records, and it ended up here locally in West Virginia, and I got it for a steal thanks to my local record store, Sound Exchange, for hooking me up with a great deal on a record that I've been looking for years. This is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. Alright, next is another record that came from that same sale with Marilyn Manson. This is Nirvana's Unplugged in New York. This is an original pressing, still in the shrink wrap, and it's on white, the original white vinyl. There's a lot that can be said for this album. It pissed off a lot of people when it came out, but now it is just such a classic, and to find an original pressing here locally and get such a great deal on it, again, just like I did with the Marilyn Manson, I was just so stoked to get that. This is, again, one of the favorite pieces in the collection. Okay, the next three albums are recent repressings of Nirvana's Bleach, Nirvana's Nevermind, and Nirvana in Utero, the 2013 remix edition. Showed these all at once really quickly because they are just represses. There's really nothing special about them, except for they definitely belong in any 90s alt-rock collection. Alright, the next album I'm going to show you guys is Foma by the Nixons. This is an album and a band that doesn't get enough respect from the 90s. That had the feature in the hit songs Foma, Head, and Sister. Sister was probably their biggest hit. And this is the original, I think, only pressing on vinyl, and it's this really beautiful Coke bottle clear vinyl. Okay, the next record I'm going to show you guys is a recent repressing of Offspring's Smash. Again, one of my favorite 90s rock albums, and this is actually on the red vinyl. This was the first pressing of the reissue, and I believe it was limited to 300 or 400 copies, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but it's just a couple hundred copies that the red was limited to. Alright, and the next thing I want to show you guys is my original pressing of the Offspring's Americana album. Pretty fly for a white guy, Walla Walla, The Kids Aren't Alright, Pay the Man. There's so many really good songs on this album. It really takes me back to high school band camp, things like that, when I discovered this album on my way to band camp. So every time I listen to it, it brings back lots of memories. I know you can make a lot of jokes and whatnot, but this one definitely is one that I'll be keeping around, and it's definitely one that brings back some really good memories from my childhood. Okay guys, the next record I want to show you is Pavement's Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. This is actually the original pressing. And it features the song Cut Your Hair, which was probably Pavement's biggest, most popular hit. But the whole album is awesome. Stephen Malkmus is badass, and he's continued to be badass without Pavement into the 2000s. So this is definitely an album, Crooked Rain, that I would definitely give it a listen if you haven't already. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is my UK pressing special edition 12-inch poster bag single of Pearl Jam's Daughter. The whole thing is this giant fold-out poster. Badass Eddie Vedder from 90s. Early 90s Eddie Vedder is hard to top in the badass category. As far as the vinyl goes, this was mint when I got in. And it has Yellow Ledbetter, Daughter, Blood, and then obviously the studio version of Daughter on the front. And next up is an original pressing of Verses by Pearl Jam. This one has the song Animal, Daughter, Rearview Mirror, Elderly Woman Behind a Counter in a Small Town, Leash. There's hardly a bad song on this album. This is a pinnacle 90s rock record. Too bad that they repressed it to death, that the original pressing's not worth much, but it's still awesome to have a really high quality original pressing. Okay, next is Pearl Jam's Vitalogy. When I picked this one up a few months ago, this was actually sealed, but I unsealed it. Didn't do a very good job of unsealing it, but it still has the Music Factory 1099 factory sticker on it. This one has Last Exit, Bug, Satan's Bed, Better Man, Immortality. Those are just some of my favorite tracks on it. But yeah, original pressing of Vitalogy. Alright, next is the recent reissue of Pearl Jam's 10 on 2XLP, 180 gram vinyl. It's got the original version and then a remastered version. Pinnacle 90s album. I would love to own the original press of this, but since this is such high quality and that the original press is actually in this, like the original sound to it, I'm not in a rush to spend another $100 on an album that I already have when there's so many more to find. So this one will have to do for now. But if you don't own this and you're a 90s rock fan, there's something wrong, because this is a pinnacle 90s rock album that everybody needs to own. Alright, next one that I'm going to show is, again, one of my all-time favorite records and definitely one of the coolest pieces of my collection. Original, and I think only pressing, of the Presidents of the United States of America. This one's got Kitty, Peaches, Feather, Pluckin', Lump, Boll Weevil, Dune Buggy. Just so many songs on this record that just take me back to my childhood. Show you guys the vinyl here. It's on Columbia, I believe that, yeah, it's UK Columbia label. Picked this one up from a guy on Facebook selling group. He gave me a great deal on it, and he really didn't want to sell it, but he was lucky that, or he was happy that it went to a good home, and I promised him that I wouldn't sell it, and if I ever would, I would give him the opportunity to buy it back first. But this is definitely not leaving my collection. Presidents of the USA takes me back to high school. All right, the next record I'm going to show you guys, Rage Against the Machine's Evil Empire. Again, an original pressing, and this one originally had cost $8.99 from whatever store that the sticker came from here. Pretty badass sticker. It's still in the original shrink, original pressing. Of course, Bulls on Parade is the big hit song from this one. Definitely a cool record to have. I just recently picked this one up. Battle of LA is on my radar to get, but this is the one that I grew up listening through the air vents because my brother, his bedroom was in the basement, and this is one of the records that he would blast over and over throughout my childhood. So this one's ingrained in me, so I'm super stoked to have it on vinyl. Alright, next up real fast is the recent repress of Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication. Around the World, Scar Tissue, Other Side, Get on Top, Californication. I had a band in high school, and for my senior showcase, I had never played drums before, a drum kit, so they put me on the drums, and I was the drummer, and we covered Californication, and they even let me have a drum solo, and I found it on cassette the other day and gave it a listen. So this album and that song in particular takes me back to 2002, my senior year of high school, and some really bad, funny memories, goofy memories, and that's pretty much why I collect, a lot of this stuff, is to bring back that flood of memories. And there's some really good tracks on this album too. Okay guys, the next record I'm going to show you is one that I was looking for a very long time. Probably 2 years I looked for this record in an affordable copy. So the next one I'm going to show you guys is REM's Monster. Bang and Blame, Frequency, Kenneth, Crush with Eyeliner is my favorite track. This isn't, obviously they haven't reissued this one yet, so this is the first pressing. And I believe it's just on the standard, Warner Brothers label there. Nothing fancy about the labeling, but this was again one of those pinnacle albums from my childhood. I'm probably gonna say that word pinnacle a lot because why else do you spend the money on these fancy, expensive records? Because they are the pinnacle albums of your life. And this one takes me back to living at my stepmother's house with my dad and blasting this one, trying to learn how to play guitar with tremolo because that whole album had so much wah 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 wah. And that's when I really got into playing guitar, was with this album. So brings back a lot of memories. All right, the next set of records that I'm going to show you guys are from another one of my favorite 90s alt-rock bands that don't really get enough attention. We got Silverchair, we got the blue version of Frog Stomp, the MOV pressing of Neon Ballroom, and the brand new 2015 issue of Freak Show. All three Silverchair. This one, I believe, this was on red vinyl, and this one I got on blue vinyl. Obviously, everybody knows Frog Stomp, Tomorrow, Israel's Son. Neon Ballroom didn't really get quite as much love, but it had Anthem of the Year 2000. There's a really good track off that one. And then Freak Show, way harder rocking of an album than most of their other stuff. So this is definitely a standout album to have, and I'm really glad they finally put it on vinyl in an affordable fashion. All right, I'm going to show these ones just real quick because everybody has these that collects 90s music. Got the represses of Gish and Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins. And then another one that took me a long time to really get a hold of. Luckily, I got it from another VC member. His name's Austin. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. He used to do YouTube videos. I think he took his channel down. But Austin gave me a really good deal on the Smashing Pumpkins Melancholy and Infinite Sadness box set. This is one of my favorite things that I own as well. And I got it for a really good price. So thank you, Austin, for that. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is my original pressing of Tiny Music by Stone Temple Pilots. This is my favorite STP rock record. And I used to have some others, but I got rid of them because this is the only one that I feel like I really need. It's on the Atlantic label. If you guys haven't checked out this album, some really good songs to check out. It doesn't list them on the back here. I'll go off of this thing here. Pops Love Suicide, Tumble in the Rough, Big Bang Baby, and Art School Girlfriend. Those are the best tracks on this album. So you should definitely check this one out if you haven't already. Alright, the next thing I'm going to show you guys is System of a Down's Toxicity. The songs that I would say off of here that are my favorite would be Deer Dance, Bounce, and Toxicity. The track Toxicity is really good. Prison Song is probably my favorite, track number 1. Alright guys, the next album that I'm going to show you guys is an album that everybody should have in their collection if they lived through the 90s. Tenacious D. I mean, come on, you got Kielbasa, Tribute, Wonder Boy, Fuck Her Gently, Explosivo. There's not a bad track on this thing. This one will have me rolling. God, it's just, I grew up with this one. This again was another senior year of high school thing. And I've owned this in one form or another ever since then. It doesn't get very far away from me. And when I found it on vinyl, just had to pick it up. Alright guys, next I'm going to show you guys Third Eye Blind, the recent MOV pressing. And this one is on this bright yellow vinyl here. Best tracks on this one: Losing a Whole Year, Semi-Charmed Life, Jumper, Graduate, Good For You, Motorcycle Drive-By is another really good track. They did a really good job pressing this one, and it's mine's numbered number 793 out of, I don't know, probably a couple thousand, I'm not sure, but 793, that's a pretty low number. I'm happy to have a copy of this in my collection. Again, it was just another good 90s alt-rock album to have. Alright, now that we've reached the end of the alternative rock stuff, I'm going to bring out a few of my pop-punk pop punk ska kind of 90s and 2000s rock album. So let's go ahead and get started again with that. Alright, first one I'm going to show you guys is Blink-182, Enema of the State on the Hot Topic Splatter vinyl here. Alright, next up after that, Blink-182, the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. It's a shame what happened with Tom, but this one takes me back again to high school, senior year. So I'm really glad Hot Topic pressed this one, just to have it again on beautiful splatter vinyl here. Alright guys, the last Blink-182 record I have in my collection is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and even though the title is a little bit childish and goofy, there's a lot more adult themes on this record. The Stay Together for Your Kids song, Happy Holidays You Bastards, really funny, but the Stay Together for the Kids song, it really has some really great lyrics, and really showed a different side to the band that we really hadn't seen too much of. And just take a look at that beautiful tricolored vinyl. Next album here, Boxcar Racer. This one features Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 and Travis Barker of Blink-182 and somebody else. Don't know who. But this album came out my senior year. It came out in 2002, and again, Hot Topic released this one on vinyl, and it's really hard to come by now. I got lucky and found a copy early on before it was really too expensive, but it's on this really pretty red vinyl here. It's basically like Blink-182 stuff, but with more mature lyrics. Mostly Tom did all the writing, I believe, on that one. Tiny voices. My favorite song is definitely There Is. So if you like the pop punk genre, give this album a try. Alright guys, real quick, the next two I'm going to show you is the Photo album and Transatlanticism. These are my two favorite Death Cab for Cutie records. I believe the originals of these came out in the 90s and the early 2000s. I discovered Death Cab, I believe, right as this album was coming out, so I was a little late to the party, but I've been a big fan of them ever since, and I've definitely gone back and enjoyed most of their back catalog, and this being my favorite with the best writing on it, the Photo album. So give these guys a chance if you haven't. Alright, now my 90s and early 2000s Green Day collection here. We got Green Day's Dookie, one of the best 90s rock albums. This is an original, Insomniac, Nimrod, I believe that one's on blue, and then on orange vinyl, Warning. This one came out in 2002, and it gets a lot of hate, but it's probably my favorite Green Day record, even more so than Dookie was in the 90s. I don't really know why. Maybe the songs are more catchy, maybe I matured with it, I don't know, but I really like it. It features Warning, Blood, Sex, and Booze, Church on Sunday, Castaway, Misery, Minority, Macy's Day Parade, all good songs, and it's on beautiful orange vinyl. The limited edition, I believe this one is the red vinyl, No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom, and then the original press of Return of Saturn, No Doubt. These ones are still out there to find. They're really not that expensive, but it features the song Ex-Girlfriend, Simple Kind of Life, and New. Gwen Stefani is probably my favorite 90s chick, so I'm looking to get more, No Doubt, but for now those are the two that I have. And then got Sublime, self-titled, Garden Grove, What I Got, Santeria, Pawn Shop. Not sure which version of the repress I have. It's on black vinyl, I believe. Yeah, it's just on standard black vinyl. But another pinnacle 90s ska rock album. Alright, we got my favorite 90s album, the Blue Album by Weezer. It's definitely probably the best album of my childhood. I'd have to say this is probably the one I've listened to more than any other album, probably my entire life. I don't even need the tracks, the list of tracks, everybody knows them. My Name is Jonas, Buddy Holly, Surf Wax America, Say It Ain't So, Only in Dreams. I mean, there's not a song on this that isn't a sing-along. It's the MOV press, or the Mo-Fi pressing. Here's another Mo-Fi pressing, Pinkerton, another one of my favorite albums of all time. Slightly behind the Blue Album though. And then the Mo-Fi Green Album, which was a big slip as far as quality goes, but still features a really solid A-side. Now the B-side I'm not so big on, but A-side, Don't Let Go, Photograph, Hash Pipe, Island in the Sun, Crab, Those are all really solid tracks. But then the B-side, it kind of starts dragging a little bit for me. But still, it's nice to have a nice clean copy MoFi of this one. Alright guys, I'm about ready to wrap this video up, and we'll pick it up in part 2, where I have a whole nother side over here to get through. But the last couple things I want to show you is I'm not really big on rap and hip-hop, but there was some good stuff in the 90s and the early 2000s that really grabbed me, and I'm going to show those off. This is my original pressing of the Gorillaz self-titled debut album. Clint Eastwood, Soundcheck, Rock the House, Rehash 5-4. Super amazing artwork. Amazingly talented people in this act. I remember when I was younger, I just thought how interesting it was that they were cartoon characters, and that they did the cartoon characters as, you know, they portrayed these people. And so I just thought it was really neat, something that you don't see every day. And yeah, this album really holds up really well. All right, next I'm going to show you guys my favorite hip hop group, my favorite hip hop rap group, and definitely my favorite hip hop rap album of all time. I got an original pressing of Illadelph Half-Life by The Roots. This was on the Geffen record label. Raw and real, and they used real instruments, and there's just so much multi-talented, multi-instrumentalists in this band. It's so great to have this and to be able to go back to this, because this is really one of their pinnacle albums. Right, next I'm going to show you the MOV, musical and vinyl pressing of The Roots, Things Fall Apart. This is a really good record, not probably anywhere near as good as Illadelph Half-Life, but there's some really great tracks on this, and I just got lucky enough to get number 45. Again, out of how many, I'm not sure, but to get such a low number, it's definitely pretty badass. And the last thing I got for you guys today is probably, again, one of my favorite rap and hip-hop albums of the 90s. One that's stuck with me ever since my childhood. Probably, I think, the first rap album that I ever heard, even before Dr. Dre's The Chronic, which I don't own on vinyl. Warren G's Regulate. Everybody should have this. This is easily one of the best rap albums of all time. There's just so much good on this record. Regulate, the Gangsta Sermon, oh my god, the 94 Ho Draft, this is the Shack. That's another really hot track. I can't say enough about this album. This is the 20th anniversary reissue that came out late last year, or yeah, in 2014. Alright guys, that's all I got time for in this video, but like I said, come back for part 2. I have a whole nother side to get through. It's we've gone through the alt-rock, we've gone through the skull and the pop and the punk, and a little bit of the hip-hop and rap. Over here we have the more, like the Ryan Adams type rock, and the pop, and see, I'll give you a little taste here, little Counting Crows, things like that. Little different type of rock, but that's all coming up in part 2 of this video series, so check back in next week for part 2. Like I always say, leave a comment below, definitely give me some likes, spread this video around, trying to get some more subscribers to my channel, trying to reach 100 subscribers before the end of summer. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching, and as always, enjoy the music.